some neighbors are saying way too loud.
That's only in the morning. You supposed to be up cooking breakfast or somebody, and so that's like an alarm clock. Woo woo!
Bub, Rub, and Little Sis were proud to show it off. Some Oakland residents will complain about the noisemakers Tuesday night at the city council meeting.
So we're just gonna bust open some packs here and see what we can pull today. So let's go look. Huh. See, I don't really know like what these cards exactly can do, but you know, just pulling them, see what we can get, and then other builds I can look at online or whatever. You can see what can work with it, what can't. This is actually a good card, this Skyclave Relic. I actually pre-ordered that for Commander just because of the kicking ability. That can really help with mana ramping and stuff like that, so that's good. I don't know about the party mechanic, but I think I'll look into that. This one I also was told was a good card from when I was reading online and stuff like that. But creating your own decks and stuff, like it's a lot of new cards they added. So yeah, so far it looks pretty cool. Especially this, I think for Mono Red they were saying this is pretty good. Returning a land you control to its owner's hand. So I don't know if that's your land or their land, but I think that would work with the decks where you have landfall. So that's probably for you, for landfall decks. I can see that working really well. And this is another one. Yeah, I guess it's adding the kick mechanic back. This is kind of the trash card. Yeah, that's cool. See, these are the gold I saved up too, so I didn't really buy anything yet. But I guess these are the dual land things they're talking about. So I can use this as a sorcery card, or it comes into the battlefield. And the thing that I found was pretty cool is that these land cards that they go on the battlefield, they don't come in tapped. And this one I got another one for reward renewal. But it looks like this is like could be like a Hydra build. But it's kind of nice. We're already pulling like mythics and stuff like that and rares. Beginning of your combat and you'll learn if you're a full party. Yeah, I don't know about the party mechanic. I gotta look into that. I mean, Death Touch are ready for that. It's pretty good for a blocker. But I'm seeing I do like these land cards though. But some of them can enter the battlefield tab, while the other ones like the dual lands or whatever, they don't, which is nice. I was watching someone play that earlier. So I guess these abilities, they can come in, so you can cast it and it comes in as a land, or it can also be an ability or sorcery. So that's kind of a cool gimmick, I would say. But I think the main thing takeaway here is landfall cards. See what we pull in a mythic wild card. I mean, that's good. I always like pulling wild cards anyway. I know people like doing drafts, and I mean, if you're really good at the game and know like drafting really well, go for drafting. But for me, like building decks and stuff, like I like to look online at what decks people have, and then from there I kind of go and tweak it to my own. So that way it's kind of like my own deck. I'm not just copying someone's deck and using it, right? Because I know there's a whole stigma with net decks. But I mean, I think decks are good to look at and take away, but just freaking recording, like taking what someone has and just reusing it. But a lot of these I know there's a common theme of rogues and stuff. But these land cards, like I said, the dual lands I know they don't come in tapped, but this stuff like they enter tapped, or you can use it as a instant or something. So I guess that gives you the option for landfall cards. Like if you have creatures that have landfall abilities, then you can use that. But this is like definitely one right here, like a rogue. So this would work well with that Mill Rogue from Core Set 2021, the one that comes into Mill's cards and then has a flash ability. That can work well with that. I guess we have another wall, so you can use that for wall decks. See landfall. In this battlefield, you can get, okay, so you see stuff like that. I guess this is an artifact. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, this is also another thing with rogues. +1. I guess this isn't the one I was looking at, the one that's like minus. There's another card that has this pretty good for a rogue one, but that's not the one I'm looking for. I'm beginning to incept, create a 1/1 and token for each +1/+1. Okay, so I guess this can work with like the Conclave Mentor or whatever. That gets +1/+1s. Kicker. Yeah, so I guess it's like kicking mechanic and stuff like that's back. I mean, that's kind of cool because I haven't seen that. But yeah, I mean personally, I like pulling just and this is enchantment. So every land enters the battlefield, choose one. Okay, so like landfall is definitely the big thing from this. Is of course landfall because you can look at these lands. They can be abilities or they can be lands, right? I think if you cast this, then it becomes a land too, which is interesting. But yeah, landfall is definitely a big thing, and rogues, of course. So a million. So I could see what you call it, Demir being a good one, black and blue, because you got these rogues that I keep seeing in all these decks. So definitely good for synergy. But yeah, and we got this one. Whenever you attack a player with one or more equipment, you draw. Okay, so that's good for like an equipment build deck. I think that's also going to be good for Commander, because I got the Sir Gawain or whatever, the Knight deck I have. And definitely something like this in that deck would also help, because that deck relies on equipping Knights with basically equipment, and when she attacks with an equipped Knight, like you lose 1 life or something and draw a card. So this and that deck could also be helpful too. See all these landfall triggers, so that's like a big thing, another rogue. And I always like to get wild cards. Like I said, I just like doing it because sometimes at the end of the day, like you sometimes don't pull what you want. Okay, so when this enters the battlefield, you create the 0/1 green plant creature, and it's got landfall. Put 4+1. Okay, so that's crazy, but I could see this working with like a Hydra. It's a Gruul deck or whatever. You see kickers here too. Some vampire. That's interesting. And we got another wild card, so now we're working on mythics. Alright, I saw this one being played with a coward ability. So one thing I saw with it, just from watching some streamers play it before, is that what this thing can do is that if you're doing a deck with Selfless Saber and then the one thing it's Mentor to Meek, not Mentor to Meek, it's the one card, it's a white card where it's a human warrior or whatever, when you attack, you can discard a card and it gains indestructible. So what they do is that they have them attack and they do that ability, and then they put this put a coward ability on them or whatever, and then if you combine that with got the name on top of my head, but basically it's a female warrior or whatever, legendary creature, human creature, and when she's on the battlefield and you have other people attack, you can pull whatever non-creatures you have attacking, you can pull so many humans out of your deck and have them tapped and attacking. So using this guy alongside a human deck, yeah, like the perfect synergies and stuff like that. So that's not a bad card too. So I'm kind of happy we're getting some of these good pulls from that. But yeah, I do like pulling singles this way just so I can see what I get, and we can see we got more of these land abilities. So I don't know if you cast a sorcery if it's actually like becomes a land, saying tap land, or if this counts. I think it's just this on the right is the land, but I gotta go play with this more to see what's going on. But yeah, it seems like landfall is a big thing along with rogues and what you call it, I think equipment. That's a big thing from this expansion. And there's a kicker, of course, too. If the spell is kicked, choose any number instead, so you can literally do all this. And yeah, I can see that being really well. Another rogue. I guess this is, that's what I'm wondering if this is, yeah, okay, because it's land on the left and then on the right sorcery. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it's, so far as expansion, I think it's pretty cool, but we'll see how the standard is. Historic I'm staying away from just because that's a mess with the goblins and all that stuff. I just can't do that. Alright, so I guess Hydra can also be good, because I know Core 2021 has some Hydras in there, so like, combining a lot of these with the +1 counters, Conclave Mentor and all that, like, I could see it definitely running really well. So this looks like another good Hydra to use. This is kind of just a trash card. Kicker being used. I guess this could be for mono red, but alright. See what we pull again. A human warrior. So I guess warriors are also in this. Which is number of wizards, so wizards, I guess. Okay, I could see that being used. Hellion, you may return a land to your control to its owner's hand. When you do 2 damage to each opponent. I guess this could synergize with that one, Minotaur card. I guess that's one way you can synergize with that. Destroy an online permanent, and there's a battlefield tab. Okay, so I guess it's like a Ruin Nest Ultimatum, but a white version of that. So I guess for Commander, that would be something that someone would use in a mono white deck. But yeah, I started getting into Commander anyway, just because Standard that sometimes is just, it gets a mess. Return so this is a rogue, and you can return an unblocked attacking rogue control to its owner's hand. Yeah, so I could see this synergizing with like the rogues that like come into the battlefield and then they do some abilities, kind of like the I forgot the name of the Corset 2021 one, the one that comes in and like mills cards and all that and gets Death Touch. Like yeah, like I can see that working. Cast less for each creature in your. I don't know the party mechanics, so I gotta go look into that. But obviously these land things, one's a land card and one's an ability. You can choose either or. I like that fact, but probably I'll go with the land. It's probably situational, but I think my decks I would like to use landfall in it. But I would like doing it at the beginning of each combat on your turn +1. Okay, so I can see this working really well. And a +1/+1 counter deck too. Probably a mono white, a white weenie deck. And we got some wizards, I guess, for the synergizing. So I mean, it's kind of cool how all these cards are kind of synergize with each other, which is nice. That's the whole point to a Magic. You know, make your own decks. You can see what works and what doesn't. Okay, so I guess if you kick these cards, you can do a lot with it, and that's like another mechanic we're talking about, another Hellion. Getting a lot of these wild cards, which is nice. You may pay 3 life. Yeah, okay, so I think we already got that one. More lands, more wild cards and stuff. That's always nice to have. Just for decks that we need to go build. Okay, I think this has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more. Okay. Whenever non-token creature you control dies, put a +1. So I think this would work with a sacrifice deck. This definitely would be one of those sacrifice decks like Cat Oven and all that. Like I know it's banned in Standard, but historically I could see this being played. So, which would be very, very annoying. And this could probably synergize with that as well. Squad Commander. Okay. For each. Create a 1/1 for each. Okay, I don't know this part of mechanics, so I gotta go look into that. But we see landfall, we see some artifacts being used. So yeah, I'm not doing the open 10 just because I kind of will probably miss something. Enters the battlefield, draw a call. Whenever land enters the battlefield, if that player has another land enter the battlefield under their control, they return a land to the. Oh, so that could get really annoying. That's a good control card. That can get really annoying. So like if someone's running a landfall deck, that's a great way to counter it. So a counter deck, I could see that card being used a lot, and that would be very annoying to play against. When enter search your library for forest and plains card, put them into your hand, shuffle your library. So I guess this is a good ramp card. Another equipment card, and I mean it's good to see equipment because I don't really see that much in the latest expansions. I started getting in with Ikoria, so I don't really see that much. But then the Throne of Eldraine has some, so we're seeing a lot more rogues. Definitely they can synergize with that. So, but I think, like I said, the big theme of this is you got lands, you got equipment, you got rogues, like enchant land. Which is all land times ability and has this add when you counter or pay 1 life. I don't know if you can do this on the opponent because that can seem very annoying. This is a good. I think this would be a counter card. I wonder if you could cast out on an opponent's land. That would be like destroying a tri-land. That would be a good way of screwing with that. Alright, Myriad Construct. So you get counters on it. So I guess this is good for an artifact deck. And this is a good destroy. I'd rather have exile over destroy any day though. Destroy, they can always bring it back. Landfall. So whenever a land enters the battlefield. Okay, so I think we already talked about this one. It's another land ability, landfall. So you see all these landfall cards, either you like +1 counters or stuff like that, or it gives it a boost to their toughness and power until the end of the turn. Oh wow, we pulled this one. So I heard this one's going to be a pain in the butt. Create a token that's a copy of Jace, except it's not legendary. Okay, so if you kick it, then and you draw a card. Wow. Okay, I can see that being annoying. And yeah, this one I saw some people use, Lizard. Yeah, so far, like, it's interesting. I'm not going to say it's a bad expansion. I think it's pretty cool. This one too, Giant Warrior. If it doesn't have +1/+1 counter, return it to its owner's hand. So basically this forces you kind of to kick it, I would say. So like, I guess you can bring this in, boost it, and then bring it back. But I would kick it, honestly, just because maybe you're going to have something else to play, like an Ember Cleave or something, and you're going to waste your mana putting this guy back in. So I'd rather pay, what, 5 mana cost to have him out there, just to have him out there instead of just kicking back and forth. But I guess Steamkin or whatever, the one creature where you cast an ability and it gets like a counter on it for mana, like Historic, I could see that being used because that thing rotated out of Standard. But I don't know, look at all these decks I can try. They're probably not going to be that good, but better than nothing. Yeah, more equipment, stuff like that, and you see stuff with landfall. So there's a lot of rogue things that you can look at building. Another rare wild card. Alright, well, I'll take wild cards any day though. Alright, and there we go, another one of these for party members. Trying to pull some of the same cards you already got, but that's what it is. Ooze, alright, Ooze. When you put a +1 counter and whenever Ooze attacks. Wow, okay, so I can see this synergizing with Scavenging Ooze or whatever, the one that like eats targets in the graveyard that's destroying gets a +1. Like this would synergize with that. More land. Okay, so some of these like I can see like building decks with. Now would they be like tier 1 decks? Probably not, but I mean they'll just be fun decks to try out. And we got more lands. Destroy target land, its controller may search the library for decent land. Okay, so this is good for destroying those like dual lands and stuff like that. So, and try lands and shock lands, all that. Alright, another one of these. I think I have 3 of these at that point. Let me put a creature from among them into the battlefield. And then 3 additional ones. Yeah, so I could see this working with the Hydras. That would be a Hydra deck. Alright, got another rare. Okay, I'll take rares any day though. You can always use rares for other decks, like not necessarily this deck, but... Alright, well, that's pretty much it from pulling it so far. Basically the big things to take away from this, expansion is really landfall, equipment, rogues, and landfall. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun seeing how this standard rotation works out. So, alright. Well, thanks for watching, and have a good day.